right, volume of cylinders. So we're going to start finding volume of 3 shapes. You're going to learn 3 different shapes in this unit. So the first one we're going to learn about is a cylinder. So realize that you're going to have to recall the formula on any test and mini quiz. You're expected to know it, and it won't be provided to you. Okay, so we're going to practice that a lot in this video so you get used to using it and hopefully get it memorized. So a cylinder has a circular base and a circular top, and the bottom and the top are identical, so they don't slant in or down. Okay, so they're the same size. So here's another example just of a cylinder. So I may show you of a picture in any angle, and you should be able to find the volume from there. So the formula you need to know to find the volume of a cylinder comes from the fact that our circular base here is going to be stacked on top of each other as far as our cylinder is tall. So really we want to multiply the base times the height to figure out the volume that could be inside here. So base times height is technically kind of how we should be thinking about finding the volume of this. And since our base is a circle, how do we find the area of our base or our circle? Well, we just learned that in our last video. Pi times radius squared is my base times height. So this is our formula for the volume of a cylinder. Volume is equal to pi times radius squared times your height. So let's try an example using the formula. Now, especially when you get to your test, I would really like you guys to fill in your formula and do the step 1 here, because what that does is if you accidentally use your diameter or you fill in something backwards, I can give you maybe some partial points if you typed that formula into your calculator correctly. Okay, so the volume we're going to do here is pi times radius. My radius here is 8 squared times 15, which is my height. Okay, so then we're going to plug that into our calculator. Pi times 8 squared times 15. I get 3,015.9, and my units are centimeters cubed. So now that we're dealing with volume again, volume always has cubic units. So why don't you pause and try to calculate the volume of this cylinder. Okay, so our radius is 4, our height is 10, so pi times 4 squared times 10 gives us 502.7 cubic inches. Go ahead and pause the video to find the volume of this cylinder. So in this case, I gave you the diameter, so hopefully I didn't trick many of you. So remember, our formula has radius, so you need to cut that in half to find the radius, so pi times 8 squared, and then our height is still 21. Remember, you should have cubic units there. Pause the video and find the volume of this cylinder. So again, I gave you the diameter here, so you need to cut that in half. So half of 11 is 5.5. And then normally I get some questions with the 16 because I put it in a different spot this time. But realize this distance from the base to the top are all going to be the same, the straight line distance. So it doesn't matter where I give you your height. This is still your height, even if I didn't give you it out here. Okay. The only time it wouldn't count is if I give you a diagonal, because that's going to be too long. That's going to be longer than what your height actually is. And we'll see that later in the video. All right, so now you're going to find the volume of a cylinder without a picture. So you have to know what radius is without giving a picture, without that visual. Okay? So go ahead and pause. Remember, fill in your formula and calculate the volume. So radius is 15, height is 3, volume is 2,120.6 cubic inches. Let's try another one like that. Go ahead, pause the video, give this one a try. So I gave you the diameter, which was 16, so you need to fill in the radius, which is going to be half, which is going to be 8. Alright, so before you try this one, I'm going to give you a little bit of a hint. So I talked about earlier, this diagonal is not the height. Okay, so I gave you the diameter across here, but I didn't give you the height. However, hopefully some of you are recognizing that there is a right triangle here that you can solve for the height, which will then help you find your volume. So pause the video, give this one a try, play it through if you need a little bit of help. So to find the height, you should have used the Pythagorean theorem. Right? In a right triangle, that diagonal is going to be 20. So that goes in for C. So then you're going to subtract that 16 squared from both sides and square root to get that your height is 12. Then once you got your height is 12, remember you got to plug in your radius. I gave you diameter here. Plug in your radius to find the volume. So let's try another one like that. Go ahead, pause the video and see if you can find the volume of this cylinder. Okay, so again, you got to use the Pythagorean theorem to find the height. So the height ends up being 24. So plug that in for the height. And then your radius is 9. Again, I gave you the diameter. A little bit trickier. Pause the video and see if you can try this one. So a little hint, I gave you the radius here. So to find your height here, you need this entire side length, which is going to be double, right? Because 3 is only halfway. So in the Pythagorean theorem, you need to use 6, which those of you who remember, second most common triangle, 8, 6, 10. Or you can actually solve the Pythagorean theorem using 6, not 3, to get your side length of 8. And then since I gave you your radius, you're going to plug 3 right in for the radius, with 8 being your height to find the volume.